This is the Dalton Highway. 499 miles of gravel stretching from interior Alaska to the edge of the Arctic Ocean. It wasn't built for tourists. It was carved through permafrost and wilderness in just 154 days for one singular purpose: to feed the oil fields at Prudhoe Bay. This is the story of the most isolated road in America. The Arctic coast of Alaska is one of the most hostile environments on Earth. 200 miles north of the nearest settlement, winter temperatures that regularly plunge past 60 below zero. Months of total darkness. Just frozen tundra stretching endlessly toward the Arctic Ocean. For most of human history, that isolation was absolute. Indigenous peoples traveled here seasonally, following caribou migrations, then retreated south. Bush pilots made occasional supply runs, but permanent occupation? Impossible. Then, in 1968, everything changed. Atlantic Richfield struck oil at Prudhoe Bay, the largest petroleum reserve ever discovered in North America. Billions of barrels, enough to redefine Alaska's economy and American energy independence. But there was a fundamental problem. How do you extract oil from a place the world can't reach? The answer was a pipeline, 800 miles of steel carrying crude oil from the Arctic coast to the port of Valdez in southern Alaska. It would be one of the largest construction projects in American history. But you can't build a pipeline without access. You need equipment, supplies, workers, all of it weighing thousands of tons, all of it needed at the most remote corner of North America. So they decided to build a road. On April 29, 1974, construction began on what would be called the Dalton Highway, named for James Dalton, an Arctic engineer who spent years surveying the route, but died before ever seeing it completed. The timeline was brutal. 5 months. That's all they had before the Arctic winter shut everything down. 499 miles, through 3 mountain ranges, across rivers that froze solid in winter and flooded violently in spring. Over permafrost, ground that never thaws even in summer, which meant you couldn't just pave it like a normal highway. Any conventional road built here would shift, crack, and buckle within months. The crews worked 24 hours a day under the midnight sun. Mosquitoes so thick, they'd clog air filters and cover exposed skin in seconds. Dust storms that turned day into night. And always, the clock ticking toward winter. The hardest section was Atigun Pass. At 4,739 feet, it's the highest point any highway reaches in Alaska. The terrain was steep and completely exposed. Engineers had to carve switchbacks into the mountainside while fighting avalanches, rock slides, and weather that could swing 40 degrees in a single afternoon. On September 29, 1974, just 154 days after breaking ground, the Dalton Highway opened. It was a miracle of engineering, a road built where roads shouldn't exist, finished ahead of schedule, under budget, and against every odd the Arctic could throw at it. But here's the thing. The Dalton wasn't built to be a public highway. It was a construction corridor, created exclusively to support the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. When that pipeline was finished in 1977, the Dalton nearly vanished with it. For years, it remained closed to civilians. Only pipeline workers and freight haulers were allowed through. The state didn't open it to the public until 1981. And even then, severe restrictions remained in place until 1994. When the Dalton Highway finally opened to the public, drivers discovered what the oil companies already knew. There are 3 places to stop, in 499 miles. Mile 56, Yukon River Camp. Gas, food, basic lodging. The last taste of civilization before the real isolation begins. Mile 175, Coldfoot. 1 hotel, 1 diner, 1 fuel pump. And this is your last chance for fuel. Mile 415, Dead Horse. the end of the line. Between these 3 dots on the map, there is nothing. No rest stops, no cell phone towers, no gas stations, not even road signs warning you what's ahead. Summer on the Dalton is challenging. Dust clouds, mud, washboard gravel that rattles trucks apart, and 24-hour daylight that makes sleep nearly impossible. Winter is something else entirely. From November through March, temperatures regularly drop to 40, 50, 60 below zero. The record low at Coldfoot, negative 82 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, exposed skin freezes in under 2 minutes. Diesel fuel gels in your tank. Brake lines crack. Batteries die without warning. And then there's the ice fog. It forms when ground moisture meets Arctic air. Visibility drops from miles to feet in seconds. One moment you can see the road ahead. The next, you're driving blind, praying the center line is still under your tires and not veering toward the ditch. Whiteouts can last for days. Wind howls across the tundra at 50 miles per hour, picking up loose snow and turning the entire highway into an impenetrable wall of white. And if you're climbing Atigun Pass when it hits, you're in real trouble. Atigun is the only place the Dalton crosses the Brooks Range. It's a 12% grade in places, winding through switchbacks with no guardrails and no margin for error. The ascent is slow and relentless. Trucks slip backward on ice. Chains are mandatory, but even chains struggle when the road surface is pure ice layered over permafrost. The descent is worse, 12% downhill, for miles. In sub-zero temperatures where brake fade happens faster, because the cold makes everything brittle. There are no runaway truck ramps, no escape routes. If your brakes fail on Atigun Pass, your options are simple. Ride it out and pray, or aim for a snowbank and hope it stops you before physics doesn't. Every winter, trucks jackknife on the pass. They slide into ditches. They block the road for hours while temperatures plunge, and stranded drivers burn through their fuel trying to stay warm. Every year, vehicles get abandoned, dozens of them. Engines that quit and won't restart in the cold. Transmissions that seize. Fuel lines that freeze solid. And when that happens at mile 200, with no cell service and no traffic for hours, the decision is simple. Start walking toward Coldfoot and hope someone picks you up, or stay with the vehicle and hope someone stops. Not everyone makes the right choice. The numbers are hard to track because the state doesn't publish them the way they do for other highways. But locals will tell you, 12 to 15 fatalities a year, on a road where most days see fewer than 200 vehicles total. Some are collisions, head-on crashes on blind corners, where there's no room for error. Some are weather, drivers who got stranded, ran out of fuel, and couldn't survive the cold. And if you need a tow, the price starts at $5,000. That's just to show up, if they'll even come. Some breakdowns are too remote, too dangerous, or happen during weather so severe that tow companies won't risk their crews. The Alaska Department of Transportation keeps crews stationed at Coldfoot year-round. They run plows constantly during winter storms, fighting snow accumulation that can bury the road in hours. Avalanche monitoring stations track snowpack stability on Atigun Pass. When conditions get dangerous, the road closes. There are emergency shelters at some of the pipeline pump stations along the route, but they're not advertised. They're not marked on maps. They exist for pipeline workers and freight haulers who know where they are and understand they're a last resort, not a convenience. Because here's the reality: the state can maintain the road, but they can't babysit every driver on it. Once you pass Coldfoot heading north, you're on your own. In 2007, the History Channel premiered a show called Ice Road Truckers. For 11 seasons, millions of viewers watched drivers battle the Dalton Highway through blizzards, breakdowns, and whiteouts. The show made the road famous, legendary even, and it changed everything. Suddenly, the Dalton Highway wasn't just a supply route anymore. It became a bucket list destination, a challenge people wanted to cross off before they died. Tourism exploded. Motorcycle groups started organizing Dalton rides. Tour companies began running buses to the Arctic Circle and back, the first commercial passenger service in the road's history. Rental car companies started seeing vehicles come back destroyed. Windshields shattered, undercarriages ripped apart, paint sandblasted down to bare metal, oil pans cracked from rocks. One company reported losing 3 vehicles in a single summer to Dalton damage. Now, most rental agencies in Alaska have explicit bans in their contracts. Vehicle may not be driven on the Dalton Highway under any circumstances. But people still go, and many of them show up completely unprepared. No CB radio, no spare tires, no winter gear, even in October when temperatures can drop to 0 overnight. Just a sense of adventure and the belief that if ice road truckers could do it, so can they. And at the end of all that effort, all those miles, all that risk, you arrive at Dead Horse, mile 415, the end of the Dalton Highway. It's not a town, it's an industrial work camp. Prefab buildings, gravel lots, and oil company facilities. There's a hotel, technically, but it's built for pipeline workers, not tourists. There's a small store, a post office, and that's about it. The Arctic Ocean, it's 5 miles away, but the shoreline is restricted. Oil company land. You need permission, a security escort, and a scheduled tour just to reach the water. So you stand in a gravel parking lot at the edge of the world, 415 miles from where you started, and you realize there's nothing here, and now you have to drive back. The Dalton Highway wasn't built for you. It wasn't built to be conquered, or photographed, or turned into a social media moment. It was built for oil, for the pipeline, for the industrial machine that keeps the Arctic fields running 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. For 50 years, the Dalton Highway has done exactly what it was designed to do. It's hauled billions of dollars in equipment to Prudhoe Bay. It's employed thousands of truckers who know every curve, every drift, every danger by heart. It's kept the Trans-Alaska Pipeline running through conditions that would shut down any other highway in America. And if you choose to drive it, you're not the main character in this story. You're just passing through.